First things first, you start to divide your day in 8 8 8. Doesn't matter if I ask you to stay after 6, if the CEO, the general manager comes and asks you to stay after 6, you can always tell them in their face that no, this is beyond my work hours. If you are paying me more, or if you are if you're compensating this overstay, I'm happy to discuss this further. Whatever money you're earning, it's gonna stay in the bank, and you're gonna die someday. It's gonna just stay in the bank. So you live for yourself, and that's the 8 hours you're given for. And I'm like, okay, interesting. And the first thing that comes to your mind is like getting deported, right? Because when you're working as an Auslander, and I mean, see, we all go. At least for me, I came from India to make a life here, and I would never think of all these things. And then this is something, and I'm super honest, and I'm like, okay, well. And that was a moment I could see my whole life falling apart in front of my eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back yet again with an exciting episode. My next guest is simply inspirational. Now, she started her journey as a developer working 24/7 in India to today becoming an operations specialist and leading a team of leads at Wolt in Germany. Now, Wolt, for those who don't know, is very similar to Zomato, Swiggy, Grab Food in India and Southeast Asia, and Food Panda, for those who know Food Panda. But we understand the intricacies of what goes into this role, what are the skills you need, and what are the challenges that you face in this role being an operations specialist in Wolt. We also understand a little bit about the US, India versus German culture of working. And for people who are looking to work into Germany, what are the visas that are required? What are the salary structures? All of this is explained in this video. My favorite part is the mindset that Pousali has. Her journey hasn't been, very smooth. It has been filled with challenges, but she had that mindset to keep going and keeping things true to herself, being extremely honest. So, watch this episode. It's a lovely episode. It is nothing but inspirational. Tell us what you loved about this episode in the comments below and support the Out of Office show. I'm here on a mission to bring you 100 amazing episodes of stories of people around the world like you who are trying to make this world a better place. Talk to you soon. Now on to the show. Hello, Pousali.
No.
So I am really, really excited that you have joined the Out of Office show. And there is so much about you today that I do want to unpack. Starting from your work today as an operations specialist at Wolt, your journey to get there, and so many other things. What's really exciting for me is that you worked both in India as well as in Germany. You are truly a self-made woman. So I'm here to peel out all the layers of the onion and really show to the world, what goes in the minds of people like you and what goes in your mind and how they can be inspired to do so.
First of all, thank you, Priya, to have me on the show. I wasn't expecting this, but then thank you that you wanted to share my story to the rest of the world. And I think this is one of the best platforms.
Okay. Awesome. So let's go step by step. So for the viewers and listeners of the Out of Office show, tell us about your current role, Pousali. So you were working as an operations specialist at Wolt, and what goes into this role? What do you do? Just describe your day to day, and it'll help paint a picture. Yeah.
Okay, so currently, as you said, it's an operations specialist. So I have a particular niche that is fleet operations. So I am very skilled in working with subcontractors, like account management. And I think the most important the skill that you might need for this role, in my opinion, would be that analytic skill. Like you should be able to look at the graph and tell what exactly is wrong and in which part of the city or country. I think that is very necessary, apart from also negotiation skills. So, I mean, that comes on a later stage. So, I would say this role is like a very good mix of numbers and words. So, you have to know your numbers and you have to know how to put them into words. And then when you have a word and then you don't have the data yet, but you have to know how to manipulate people and just put in some numbers in your head and make sure that these numbers are close to correct, because you cannot just bluff, right? But you have to bluff. So this is a very interesting, I think, role, I would say. But yeah, analytics, I think it's a very important in, if you really want to play the game in this one.
Okay, so just break this down for me. So, what are some of your most important goals as an operations specialist at Wolt? Like, what are your, I don't want to use the word KPIs, it's a very corporate term,
I
but
was about to use the word KPI, like, okay. So we have
okay, yeah,
another
go on.
word for it, OKR,
Yeah,
objectives and key
fancy.
results. Yeah.
I know. Okay, go on, go on. So,
No,
what is
so
what is your OKR? Yeah,
okay, so we have like different spheres, right? So there is operation
yeah,
specialist who are like into courier operations, and then there is me who's into fleet operations. So I can break you down like the role of what I have. So I deal with the overall performance of the couriers all over Germany. So there are like 50 plus different cities and scale couriers that on a day-to-day level that we have to check. So we have cities where you can book shifts, and then we have a different payment way where we pay you based on the number of orders you did. So these two
mm,
different types of contract will have two different KPIs. So people who are on
yeah,
shift, we have to see that they are making the shifts, like they're not no shows, and
yeah,
also the number of deliveries. Then we also break down the delivery, like when you go to pick up and then when you go to drop off, in between, like from getting the order till reaching the venue, and then you spend some time parking, right? So
yeah.
we don't consider that. So everything is like very broken down to a very granular level to understand exactly like a particular career performance, let's say. So, and
Okay,
that's what I deal with. And then, of course,
yeah.
another part of my job, like this, let's say, holds up 60% of it. And then another 30%, I will come to the 10% later. But another 30% is like negotiating with the partners. These couriers, most of them are our in-house couriers, but like some
Yeah.
of them, but most of them are subcontractors. Like we have resources, like external resources, right? So
Okay. So
we
couriers are your internal partners. Sorry.
Nah, so it's like we outsource them, let's say. So there
Okay.
are some partners who provide us the number of couriers. So
Okay.
let's say out of, if we have a total of 6,000 couriers, we have
Mm.
very few, around 2 to 3% in-house couriers, like who are employed in Volt. But
Okay.
overall, to like to run the game faster and better and make it more dynamic, I think we have
Yeah.
external partners. So they provide us. So, and it's easier, right? Instead of reaching out and tracking everything for 6,000 couriers, you just track
Hmm.
it partner wise. And then you tell
Right.
your this problem in this city, and then he can break it down to his particular courier. I mean, we are providing them all the data, and
Mm.
but we are not taking any actions on them, on the couriers, but we are suggesting them. So what needs to be done. And this suggestion is where the negotiations and stuff come in. So that is
Okay.
another part of the job.
Okay. Okay. And what's your 10%?
10% is mentoring the team and fixing people's mistakes.
Wow. It's very interesting that you say this because we think that as a corporate employee, it's often a very much like a specific role and a box that you're put into that you need to do that. And I like that how you allocate a certain percentage of your job role to do the other things that are inefficient sometimes and may not have a direct impact on your KR, but has a long run impact, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to tie this back to Volt as a company.
Hmm.
So, Volt, from what I understand, is similar to the Food Pandas or Grab Foods or delivery heroes of the world today. Now, the website says it delivers everything, right? So, how do you all achieve this? How do you all achieve delivery of everything? What goes on that allows you to do this at scale? And I feel like somewhere it's probably linked to your role, but I'm not sure. You tell us.
So when I
Yeah.
joined the company, I think it was pretty old. Like the company was super new in Germany. So it was
Mhm.
started in Germany in 2020, and then I joined in 2022. So let's say even the company was growing, and the biggest like the reason why it came into Germany was, I think, during the COVID. So people were
Mm,
at home, and that's the concept when it first started. But
mm,
they wanted to, let's say, we all wanted to make the business sustainable, right? So once COVID
yeah.
was gone, people were going out on the streets. we don't want to close the business. Because when I moved here, it was also during COVID, and I saw a lot of companies which came in
Mm.
with, like, of course, during the COVID, so it was an opportunity. But I
Yeah.
think they did not make a sustainable business plan. So I
Mm.
mean, they came in, they went, like, even I was still a student. I saw like Food Panda, for example. I don't know if
Yeah.
I can name the companies here, but Food Panda,
Yeah.
then there was Gorillas. A couple of companies came in, and I don't even remember some of their names. They came in, but they could not sustain in the market. Either they got acquired by other companies, or they just disappeared in the market. We don't use the names anymore. So
Mm.
I think to make this sustainable, the biggest thing was to not just stick to delivery. We had to, like, food deliveries, we had to
Right.
move
Food
to
delivery.
different things. So at first, although we started as a delivery, which is still one the biggest base of our company, but eventually the sales team, they started acquiring big names. For example, here we have something called Burgermeister, or let's say
Okay.
it's like they claim themselves to be the best burger in Berlin,
Okay.
SBBB. And
I
then
like it.
let's say McDonald's or some very big venues. And when we acquired them, we started having like a special section for them on the like, when you open the app, these. So then we decided, like, how about we start doing groceries? Like,
Mm.
so there was a grocery company, and I
Mm.
think they kind of were sold out. So they had warehouses, and
Mm.
they wanted, like, they didn't have enough courier pools. They wanted us to provide the couriers, and it was their warehouse. We operated in that model for some time, but then we realized, like, okay, this company is like, it can be taken over. And we took the warehouses and we made them into our warehouses. And like, we started to make it like a store, like a C3 that you have back in India, or
Yeah. Yeah.
Spencer's.
Yeah.
And we first started with like four in the main centers of the city, and I think it
Yeah.
became a huge success. People started ordering, and then we started even putting on scheduled orders. So before I go to office, I already schedule the order at some time, so I get the fresh food just at my doorstep before it comes. So now we try to make it into a habit. So then we started introducing medicines like that is available without our prescription and stuff.
Right.
Then 18 plus items, whatnot, the flowers. On Valentine's Day, we always have campaigns to send chocolates and flowers, so fresh flowers. I think you just name it, you find it there. So I think it's
Right.
just one
That's
after
how it.
the other. It was a step by step. It never, like, Rome was never built in a day. It took
Yeah.
time, but we saw the opportunities. Like, every time, I would say Bolt always was very fast on understanding the opportunities that would make the business sustainable and more stable, and
Mm.
didn't just want to stick to delivery, like just one particular thing. So they started partnering up with different popular brands across Germany, and I think we are where we are today.
Fantastic. So I love that there was a sense of diversification plus and that led to capturing more markets and more. At the end of the day, it is solving more jobs for people that they need or they require, and as a result, you're becoming more present in their minds, and that's how the business also grew. Okay, fantastic. Now, my thought here was so you just mentioned about grocery stores. So did you guys open your own stores, or did you partner with people to open grocery
No, we
stores?
did not partner. This is the thing. So there was a company called Flink. So they had
Okay.
a few grocery stores. So they had the stores, but they didn't have the operational efficiency, let's say, or the numbers. So they
Okay.
reached out to us and said that you provide us the couriers, and we have the stores. We do the operations, like the internal operations. So we did that for some time, but then we realized that we are more efficient, or like it is easier that we take it over. And there was no, I mean, right now there is no Flink, let's say. So we started with their warehouses. We took those
Right.
warehouses, and then we made, like, it popular as the Volt brand, because Volt was already popular as a delivery brand, but we just had to market the fact that we now have our market as well, like we are on the marketplace as well. So
Right.
we started putting a different section on the app, like You have a food section, and then you have the market section. You open market, groceries, Asian store, Indian store. Then like now it came like over the time it became so. At first we had this store, and then we opened some more stores, and then we realized it's taking a lot of money, right? So it's
Mhm.
better that we go to some existing special like popular grocery stores and ask them to partner with us. For example,
Correct.
Edika, I think we are partnered with Edika right now and a couple of others. So
Right.
then the names that people around you, they know, like the existing citizens, they know the names, right? And they
Right.
trust the brand, because in
Yes.
Germany I think it's very important that you gain the trust.
Yeah.
And then they see it on the app, and then we make it as convenient for you as possible. You can even schedule orders, like for next morning you can already write what you want and schedule the order to 6 a.m. next day, so the food comes exactly fresh when you want them. So we give a lot of things. We really think about what people would like or want here, and then we try to make it that way. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what get
Yeah.
us going there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean this reminds me of the like we order from Food Panda quite a bit here in Singapore. Singapore doesn't have Wolt for the listeners out here.
Maybe
So
soon.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do definitely need more competition in this little island of ours. It's good for the consumer. But yeah, so speaking about this, so Food Panda also has like Panda, it's called Panda Mart. So it's their own grocery store. And it also partners with some of the other niches like cold storage and
Mm.
more specialty grocery stores. And the competitor, which is Grab, Grab also has its own mart. And I would imagine, and I don't know, but I would imagine that these are probably dark stores or concepts of, I don't know, is that how you guys also do it? Because I mean, I've heard about dark stores more from the founders of Swiggy and what was the other one, Zomato in India, where it's grocery stores, but I mean, it's really just a warehouse at the end of the day. Is that also something that y'all are doing, or it doesn't make sense to do it?
It is, the concept is pretty similar, but I would not say it like a big warehouse. Like it's not like
Yeah.
a factory. It's probably a big room or a hall of, I don't know, 70 square meters. You have
Yeah.
small aisles. You have every product, but to a certain limit that they don't go
Mm.
wasted. It's not like as big as a supermarket, but pretty much similar concept. And then when some things which we really need to sell fresh, they are out, we automatically can put it on the app that it's off. So, but yeah, we have kind of similar concept.
Okay. Okay. Nice. I am curious about the fleet side of things because that's something that you're very close to.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you have working with fleet and delivery partners on a day-to-day basis?
So the challenges, I would say this is one of the reasons why I love this job, because it's super dynamic. Every new day is a
Mm.
new challenge. They will come up with a new excuse. You have to come up with a new way to, no, it's an excuse. It's not a reason. You have
What
to
are
like
these
this is.
excuses?
Yeah, because these people, the best part is these people have a lot of money. They have very
Mm,
good business sense, but
mm,
they depend on your data. Like when you tell
mm.
them what to do, so sometimes they push back. Not everybody would listen, right? They would like, no, it's my money. I want to spend it my way. But
Yeah.
then you, like me, as a operation specialist for the fleet thing, is that I have to think it in a way that it's beneficial for both the company, and
Mm,
we also manage to maintain a sustainable relationship with the fleets. Let's say the company wants to sell something which is of the 10 euros for 8 euro, for 6 euros to the fleet. I know
yeah.
it's a loss, and for me, I because I am the face, so my team has to do the communication with them, and it can
Mm,
like piss them off pretty bad. So
yeah.
this is where we have to think like to the company, like this is okay for now, they will agree, but the partnership will be affected because six is doesn't make sense. So let's come to a point where they can actually agree. So let's say we make the company understand like, okay, seven, let's
Mm,
agree at seven. And then it is our job to negotiate that seven and explain them, hey, I know you are not happy that we're reducing it by three, but then come to seven. It's gonna be more sustainable. I don't want to suddenly do something else. So we want to
mm.
make it so these kind of conversations. And I'm just telling you 10 and seven, but it's not so easy, trust me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I think they need to trust me. And most of our partners we work with are Middle Eastern, and
Yeah.
that's I think when I picked up the accent. So when you see me talk to them, so they really need to trust you, right? Why will they listen to what I'm saying or look at my numbers? So I have to give them results also. So I cannot just go out and make some promise out in the blue because of my company. This
Yeah.
balance of although working here in Volt and still trying to balance a sustainable relationship with the partners. And I think this is where the biggest challenge lies in. You have to know where
Mm.
to walk on the thin ice. But I
Yeah.
think yeah, now after a couple of years here, I think the partners also trust us because we are working with the same partner for quite some time. Like we have new partners over the time, but then we explained that we wanted to make a sustainable thing. We want to keep the partnership going. We don't want to change partnership because
Yeah.
it's also difficult for us. It's also difficult for you. So I think now it's pretty stable. So they understand us. We understand them. They know we are not gonna mess up with them or their numbers. So I think it's going pretty good. But still, there are challenges. Suddenly, company comes up with I don't know. Just tell them sunrise is in the west and sets in the east, and we're like, come on. Okay, but yeah, we have to do that.
Right, right. But these numbers that come, they usually come from somebody out there who's looking at the daily or I don't know, weekly, monthly P&L that's happening, right? Or the operations or the cost.
So there are like different, I would not say hierarchy here. I say this is a very good part about Walter, madam. We
Yeah.
have a reporting line, but everybody's opinion matters here. Even like somebody who is reporting me, if they come and tell me something, I think I will not brush them aside. I will always take a look. Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's something stupid, but I will still look into it. And similarly goes with what I do. My bosses or his bosses, they will never throw them away. They will look at it. You never know. So this is a very good concept from startup culture, I think, that ideas can come in from anywhere. So it can be a bad idea, but give it at least a chance to breathe. So this is something. So what we
Yeah.
have is the operations Germany. I can speak about Germany.
Mm-hmm.
We have different sections. So we have a supply team, we have a finance team, a finance planning team, we have like an analytics team, a separate. So they do an analytics on a broader level. So I do analytics, but mine is a bit broken down to a courier
Specific.
level, let's say. Yeah,
Yeah.
CP level. Because they will come and tell, I will not look at the city on a broader level. It's so many.
Yeah.
So they will come that okay, last week we had this problem in this city, that problem in that city. Then it's my job to look into like so you see we already know what we are doing and how the job is broken down.
Yeah.
So let's say the finance team sends a proposal that hey, we are at we utilize this percent of our Q2 budget by now. I think it's
Mm.
time that we change or reprice in certain cities where we are this. So they come with a proposal, right? It's not that they want us to implement it anyway. We see the proposal. We also make our own decisions, like or have our internal discussion. Like, is it proposal fine for us to like put it on them? It's not that we directly go and take the proposal to them. We also have an internal discussion,
Yeah.
understand. And then eventually when we understand, okay, these numbers make sense, then we go back to then we go to the partners and try to convince them. But when we have our internal discussion, then we see that no, these numbers doesn't make sense. We go back to the finance team, we try to negotiate there and get some different numbers. So it's not that we are in the other team, but we
Yeah.
are the face of like with the fleet partner. So we know what we can face or the company can face if things are not like really smooth. So and
Yeah.
then there is supply team. They give us some supply. Then there is analytics team. They give us something, but because all the couriers we are on a very ground level, so the
Yeah.
performance etc. for the courier depends on our team, the fleet team. So I
Yeah.
think that's how we are like everywhere but nowhere.
Yeah, and in fact, that's the core proposition. Like, of course, from the user perspective, there is a ease of purchasing, buying, pricing, and all that other ops. But
Mhm.
this is, after all, the thing that actually goes and completes the delivery of the value that you're providing
Yes,
to the user. So it's pretty
customer
much
satisfaction.
yeah, yeah. And I would say that this actually contributes a huge amount to the customer satisfaction. You could have the fanciest UI, you could have the best pricing, but at the end of the day, what you ordered for 10 a.m., if that comes like 2 days later.
We have a communication team as well that takes care of all the, like, we have something called customer support. I know that it's something, it's not just customer support. So we also like have this same thing for couriers too,
Okay.
because we really value our couriers here, that every now and then, like maybe every 1 month or every 2 weeks, we send out like, hey, what can get better at what you're doing at our job. And even if they are external couriers or like they're subcontractors, we still send out the service because they are still working or delivering for Volt. Let's say they're working for partners, but they're delivering for Volt. So we send out like with vehicle, there are different service like vehicle survey, or if they would like to use e-bikes, because we also want to, environmentally be responsible
Yes.
as a company.
Correct.
And so this one survey started 6 months ago, I think, about e-bikes and e-vehicles, and you would be surprised that the couriers gave good responses, and we could change almost 3% of motor like, CO2 emitting vehicles into like
Yeah.
e-vehicles. So all over Germany. I know 3% is a really small number, but at
But
least
it's
from the
a
survey, we can also make
yeah.
a change there as well.
Nice, nice. This is fantastic. Okay, I want to double down on this point. So sustainability is very interesting. That's happening majorly in the EU side that I'm seeing. US is a little like, okay, we're gonna do it. We don't know what's happening there now. Southeast Asia is, I mean, whatever is being driven by Singapore is being driven in Singapore, but the rest of Southeast Asia is honestly like, as long as it helps with the revenue or cost, then it makes sense, right? But you is, is really doing things on a whole different level, and it's very, very top down. So tell me more. So you spoke about e-bikes being one of the initiatives. Are there any other initiatives like this?
From, I mean, this one I remember, or I can say because we really did it just like 3 months. Like we started it 6 months ago and 3 months ago. I think e-bikes, and there was something we called the folk bikes. I mean, it is again e-bikes, but the weather here can get super extreme in
Yeah.
winter,
Yeah.
and we have like a pool of around 70% bike couriers, like cycle, who use a bicycle. So
Mm,
in icy surface and this kind of weather when it's very difficult, but still we would want the delivery operations to go on, and we don't want the couriers to be facing the music, right, on a stormy
yeah.
day. Like recently we had a hurricane, just
Yeah.
like 2 days ago. Although
Yeah.
it was 10 minutes thing, but it was there
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
couriers could not. So in such situations, we also partnered with another company where you get a bike which covers, it's like a two-wheeler again, but it's like
Yeah.
how do I say, it looks like an auto.
Okay.
In India, if you know
What do
what's
you
an
mean by
auto,
that
it looks
cover?
like it has like
Yeah.
the head kind of a
Yeah.
thing. So it
Yeah.
shields basically, it has a weather protection. So it's like a
Right.
step two. We partnered with the company, and then we gave a few couriers this to use for free, let's say.
Okay.
I mean, it was free for the couriers, but we had like a deal with the company, like the
Company.
fleet partners, right? You pay 50% of it, we pay 50% of it, and we see where we come. Like, okay, I'm not using the exact numbers, but let's say that was how the deal went on, right?
Right.
Because eventually they're going to save a lot on the petrol costs and different other things, and it's going to make like the cooler is going to be also like safe, right, with from the
Yeah.
weather and any problem. So I
Yeah.
think we also tried that with a couple of partners. We had like plus and minuses, but so it's also going on. But
Mm.
eventually, maybe if this goes on, we again have electric vehicles, and they have a lot more to load, and it's going to be more safe for the couriers when they try to deliver during odd weathers.
Yeah.
Europe is naughty, notorious, and known for bad
Yeah.
weathers. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another initiative, I can say.
Very nice. I mean, this is looking at the social part of your ESG as well, in different forms.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any crazy story, Poshali, that you've had while working at Wolt and working in such a dynamic environment?
I have had worst stories you can imagine. I mean,
Tell us
something
one.
very, very crazy I can tell you, which I never expected I had to ever face in my life. I think it was back in October 2023. It was just almost not even 1 year. November, I would have completed 1 year that year. And I went to some other city from Berlin. I'm based in Berlin. So I went to another city to do some launch related to cash project, and I come back to office on one Monday, and then the head of operations, he comes to me and he's like, we need to talk. I'm like, sure. he takes me in a room. There is two lawyers sitting. There is the CEO sitting. There is me sitting. And they said that, how much money did you take? I'm like, wait,
What?
what? Oh, you have no idea what happened here. So I'm like, no, I did not. So they somewhere they pull out like like my Instagram conversation, and it was really a fake thing. Trust me. So, but it
Oh God.
looked exactly like my, and everybody, I don't know, people know that I use Instagram more to
Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
It looked like it had my own DP, the same number of followers I had on
Uh,
Instagram, and it was like a chat which said that, "Hey, where are you?" And I went for like to another city, for example, for work, and it he
hmm.
knew, that person knew really that where
Hmm.
I went. So okay, I'm waiting at XYZ Center of Cologne. Could you please come? And then there is a conversation from me like, no, 50,000 euro is not enough. We would need around 80K. And I'm like, and imagine the first thing that comes to your mind is like getting deported, right? Because when you're working as an
Yeah.
Auslander,
Yeah.
and I mean, see, we all go, at least for me, I came from India to make a life here, and I would never think of all these things. And then this is something, and I'm super honest, and I'm like, okay, wait. And that was a moment I could see my whole life falling apart in front of my eyes, and I could not react. And I'm like, okay, there are lawyers, they're reading my body language, and I read, I think, a lot of suspense books and stuff. So, and I kept no, I did not do that. Like, yeah, everybody says that in your position. I'm like, what do you mean? So technically, it's very easy to like get bribed at the position I work at. So because the partners we work with are millionaires or billionaires.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to mess with the number sometimes. So, but eventually, I mean, that was one of the most horrible experiences I ever had. I mean, I was questioned, but I'm like, okay, you take everything. This is my laptop, this is my phone. You do your research and get back to me when you find nothing on me. And
Then what
yeah,
did
they
they
did.
say?
But yeah, my company, of course, to follow the protocol, they did what they had to do. But eventually, after doing all the checks, I think they got back to me within 2 days and was like, hey, you can come back. Because while everything was happening, I was told, like, I was still employed, but I was sitting at home, like, to wait
Yeah.
for their verdict. But yeah, this is one of the most craziest stories that I could tell, because I could literally see my life falling apart. And people say
Yeah.
that, yeah, we felt that. I was like, no, this never happens. But when,
Hmm.
you build something, you dreamt of something, and it was your whole dream what you were building. And then in that room, three people and everybody looking in you, and yeah, and you can see the dream fall apart. Yeah, exactly. That was something super crazy. So I hope nobody has to go through any such situations
Yeah.
in
I
their
mean,
life.
and it's also stressful in many ways. I can imagine that you. Yeah, I mean, anybody out here in any job who's been falsely, you know, falsely put
I
in
mean,
this
I would
position.
not say I was accused. That's a very good thing about my company. They didn't accuse me immediately. But for the protocol, I mean,
They
it
had
could
to.
have been true also, right? I mean, let's say if that complaint or somebody deep faked some photo videos. So they did what they had to do.
Yeah. Or they
But
hacked
then
into
they
your
also,
account and then they used that. That would have been
yeah, but
tough.
I gave everything to them. I mean,
Yes.
you can take a look. This is, but then eventually after that, I think I got also like a life lesson that I am working in a position where my personal things are not so personal anymore, because people know me. 'Cause right now, if you come to Germany and this fleet people, they know me, like who's Pushali, they know what they do, what I do and stuff. So I had to change my account to private. Then one day, like one weekend, I sat, I saw whoever is there as a follower, which I think I don't know in person. Like, I had a conversation, I started removing them, and I made my, let's say, profile more secure to avoid any of such incidents again to happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This is like scam attack on the
Yeah,
next level.
that
Oh
was
man.
some trauma, man.
That was like, I mean, those 2 days must have been really terrible.
Yeah, and the worst thing is you cannot tell that to your parents, right? Because this is something, they're not here, and you don't know who to talk to. Because
Yeah.
if I tell them, they're not going to understand, they're going to be more tensed, and they're back in India. I cannot go back to them. So it's going to mess up the whole situation. You're
Yeah.
talking to them, but you're lying. You're pretending every morning. Oh, hi. You are again putting up the smile. You're talking, but deep down, you are like, oh man, what? So I think that those things, like, yeah,
But I
that
think
those
there
two
is
days.
But I think there is a sense of internal resilience because knowing that, one, of course, you haven't done anything right, but also believing that you will be proved innocent and the truth will come out is a sense of self strength or whatever you call that, that's inside you, which is what led to the you coming out of it.
Definitely. It's something I think I got from my father.
Okay.
He always told me, no matter what, just be honest. Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you make like 10K less than the other person, but do what you are doing with your 100% and don't, you know, just be honest to your job. Don't try to take the
Yeah.
shortcut and take more money than. So I think I followed him
Yeah.
all my life. So this principle, and I think, yeah, I knew
Fantastic.
that nothing's going to happen because at the end of the day, I didn't do anything wrong. I never took the shortcut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, beautiful. Tell me a little bit about, apart from this crazy story, working for Wolt as a partner. And, they got acquired by DoorDash in 2022, right? What was that like? I think you experienced a bit of it, maybe the culture shifts. And most importantly, like, what is it like working in a company like Wolt? Yeah.
So DoorDash pretty much acquired when I also started. I think it happened in 2022, and when I was already working there as an intern and at
Mm-hmm.
Wolt.
Yeah.
So honestly, at the beginning, like the first year, I did not see so much change. Maybe it also can be from DoorDash side that they were still analyzing the situation, doing a recce, and also it can be from my side because I was still a very, very junior, like an intern there. So I was
Yeah.
just doing what I was given to do and just not too much into the operations or not involved too much into the big meetings or decisions, right? But I think when I started to see it reflect was from 2023. So until that time, Volt was just a startup. Like it was just like another startup. We were doing good, and but then after we got like DoorDash as our parent, I think we got. That's when we started. Like we had the confidence to
Mm,
invest or like to spread or broaden
mm,
our spectrum more. So until
yeah.
I think after the acquisition of DoorDash is when we had the confidence or we started to spread our branches to different other verticals like this medicine
Grocery.
stores, there's
Yeah.
then markets and
Yeah.
whatnot, right? So
Yeah.
I think that was very important. Overall, in an operational perspective, did see some change but in a better way. So let's say it didn't get into the US culture of not working, like working more than 8 hours or something. Doesn't matter if the production is on fire. If your shift
Yeah.
ends at 6 p.m., you are home at 6 p.m. So
Wow.
this is very interesting. And
Yeah.
it still did not become the US way. It's been around 2.5 years that DoorDash, I think I'm experiencing the DoorDash changes, and I think it's really good. And yeah, we do have some. We recently, last a couple of months ago, we had the CEO come here. They gave a speech. So from time to time, they connect with us. So there were some inefficient, not inefficient things, but I would say some things that goes in the European way are not good for the business, let's say, right? And then some
Mm,
things that are in the US way is also good, but also there are bad things. So I'm happy that Volt here is taking only the good things from both the sides. So they
okay.
are operating in the EU way in terms of, let's say, holidays and vacations and
Mm,
employee work-life balance. So that's in
yeah.
EU. I think in Europe, I think it's one of the
Yeah.
best, and we are
Yeah.
still having that. So touch wood. But again,
Mm,
in terms of efficiency, like dividing like the team hierarchy and making it a
mm.
very agile way of working, which is a very European, which is a very American thing, right?
US thing.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
we can see that how it's implemented and how efficiently like it works. Like it doesn't make sense. It never made sense for me to like 10 people in one room, like spending 1 hour in a decision, right? I never liked big meetings. Yeah, this is what they have implemented. Like we don't have big meetings anymore. We have one-on-one. There is a sense of trust. I need to do something with you and another person, just three of us. We do the meeting. We come with the outcome. We go to the big bosses. Hey, this is what we aligned on.
Yeah.
Do you have? And then this thing. It's like breaking them into different granules and having that trust. I think this is what we got from the US culture, and I appreciate that. Let's say thanks to Tordesh for bringing it in.
Fantastic. How is this whole thing different from the culture in India that you worked? Because at the end of the day, even Indian companies, majority of their customers are US based.
Yeah.
So what was the culture?
So I think in India, there's a major problem like working for a US client from India and from Europe. I think
Hmm.
when you're working from India, I don't know if it's the companies or if it's the company that you work in is doing it, but you are treated as a cheap labor. You are not treated as an employee, let's say. I mean, I have faced it, and after 6 years and in one company, and stories from different friends in different companies. I'm not just blaming one particular company.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is like your 9 to 5. I love 9 to 5, right? I really respect my 9 to 5. But as long as it's 9 to 5 and it's not becoming a toxic something like enforced 9 to 9 or 9 to 12, I
Hmm.
don't know. It had no ending at certain point, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, this is what, like, let's say when I was back in India, I always thought, and because we did not have enough client exposure, right? It
Hmm.
was always like you were told what to be done. It
Yeah.
was more like you were given instructions. Doesn't matter you have brains or I don't know where you come from, but like how good you did in your bachelor's or master's. You're just doing what I'm asking you to do.
Hmm.
And this
Hmm.
is within like because there was so much hierarchy and so much too many people for just a small thing. I think even the client doesn't even know that you're working for them, right? So,
Hmm.
but here, what I like, what I like is doesn't matter if it's US client. If you have a say, you present it yourself. I mean, I read
Hmm.
one of your questions about corporate politics, so I'm coming to that similarly. But here, if it's your idea, doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad idea. If your manager thinks, yeah, it's still good, I mean, you present it. It can be a bad idea, it can be rejected, it can be, at least it gives you the confidence to present it,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
which I never got in India. I like
Hmm.
working because I was always reporting to my boss, and that was, I was never taken ahead of that. He was always asking me what to do, and even if I had, or let's say most of us, if we had something, but in the worked in a big giant, right? They already have some processes set in their mindset. You just have to follow the process. You cannot do anything out of the box.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is something, and I have a like a new brain, right? It's coming up because I joined in like 20 when I was 20 or 21. So I want to implement. Oh, I have ideas. I want to implement. No, you can just control C, control V. That's it. We had been doing it for 10 years. Okay, fine. It kills
Like
you, I
even on the
think.
code level. I mean, when you say control C, control V, is it just process level, or are you talking about like
Yeah,
even the
so
way
it's
you
in.
code?
So I started as a coder, right? So
Yeah.
even on a code level, at the beginning, like when I was learning the first couple of years, it was good, like because you had to
Hmm.
write the code yourselves, and I think that's what they do. They make the juniors write everything, but still,
Hmm.
those things also you can find on GitHub or somewhere, right? So you just had to have the idea of like you're taking it from there, but implement your own packages and your own functions. But
Hmm.
eventually you are out of that phase. You don't do coding.
Hmm.
So when you manage a process, even the process was well defined. And
Yeah.
if you want to come and tell them, hey, it's a 10-year-old process, there is nobody to listen to. Okay, fine, request a change. The change will go through different levels of approvals. Of then it will come if it's approved. And if one level says no, then okay, we don't need the change. So
Hmm.
at here, I want this. I go to my manager, and we have like a very transparent hierarchy. Like we can reach out to anybody. It's not that I just am confined to my direct
Yeah.
lead on the
Yeah.
hierarchy. If I want to reach out to somebody else, I can always, of course, I inform him like, hey, I want to discuss this with the other manager. Go ahead. He will. Then nobody will stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
You give your idea. Doesn't matter if it's stupid or if it doesn't make sense. I mean, what I saw in my head of operations, he will always be like, "Do you think you can pull this off?" I'm like, "Yes." How much is it gonna affect us financially if it doesn't work out? We
Hmm.
always have to give him that. And if he's ready to take that risk, let's say, we're allowed to experiment on our own on certain things. I mean,
Hmm.
as long as it's in a smaller
Yeah.
scale, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we make some changes in the city. We also don't even reach out for the approval because I know what's going to happen. So we tell, like, there is somebody who's based in Munich and I take care of. So he's like, do you think we can change the radius to like 500 meters more? What can happen? I'm like, well, without supplies, these things will gonna get delayed. So are we ready to take the risk? He's like, yeah, let's do it for 2 weeks. Let's not say anybody. Let's do it. And if it's working fine, we tell them that we did it and we roll it out. So, and we have done like in certain cities, we have done. I mean, of course, it's not too big a risk. It's on a very dynamic, like operational, like very broken ground level. But it
Yeah.
makes a difference, right? If you change the radius from even like by 500 meters, so people in an outskirt area, they get to know that there is something called
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, these kind of things, I think, yeah, never. And in India, I would have never done it. And doesn't matter if I was a project lead, there was always somebody who was my lead. So
Right.
it's like, I don't
It's a
know,
big
House of
hierarchy.
Cards. Yeah, it's a big
Definitely.
hierarchy.
Yeah. Uh, Great. So let's go into your push factor. So you've since we're talking about India and you worked in India for some time, you decided at some like maybe after COVID, I think going back to your original story, after COVID, you decided that you wanted to go out, right? Or explore outside.
Yeah.
What was that thought process like? Like walk us through that, and then from that thought process, what all transcribed or in the popular term now manifested in this space.
No, see, I always wanted to go abroad, and I don't know, even when I was like in my 10th standard, I wanted to come to Germany because education was free in Germany. I think back since then I was always interested, but somehow because of the situation in the family, because my grandfather was sick at that time, so and it was too much for my father to balance and juggle too many balls, and I think me going to Germany was not one of his priorities at that
Yeah.
moment, and me being
Yeah.
a single child in the family, it was always about na jabi na baire. So you see that those kind of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was always there. And back then, I did not have that much to, have to go ahead and put forward. No, I want to do it, so I will do it. So I did not have that voice, let's say, because I was still not earning. Whatever I was doing was what my family was providing for me, and I should be grateful for them.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I got my job. I started making my savings, and over the time, I was always reading a lot of books. Like I was watching a lot of series, not daily so, but like different series, which and I was always fascinated by European culture, and especially
Mm,
your EU, because the Schengen visa gets you like a passport to like 28 or 29 different countries. And me, who
right.
loves to travel, like who is a backpacker, even when solo traveling was a thing, I had been traveling solo since 2012, 13, I don't know. So I
Mm,
was like, okay, going to Europe will open a lot of doors and windows for me. I was
mm,
planning, but I didn't know how to execute it. So in
mm,
2013, I think one of my friends, she wanted to go to Canada and she was
mm,
preparing. And she kind of pushed me like, hey, let's give the exam together. It was, I think, GRA or something.
mm,
And yeah, we sat for the exam. I think I did a very good score. I did better. I just did it for fun, like, to motivate her. I was like, okay, if I do a good score, maybe I can convince my family. Now it's time. It's 23. It's the end of my college. So I'm senior now and not in class 10 anymore. But then in jury, I did really good, from better than the friend I had, like who was
mm,
actually planning to go. But again, I got a pushback. Like now
mm.
it's like still like you're not exposed to the
Yeah.
corporate world. So you
Yeah.
should start to experience it first here in India. And then, so eventually my friend went to Canada. So that's when the seed I think was there. That was the time
Mm,
because, okay, I know I can do a good score. I deserve it. It's just that now is not the right time. So
mm.
for 5 years, 6 years, I was waiting for the right time, let's say. I mean, it was always in my head. And
Yeah.
thanks
It
to
was a
COVID,
seed.
that happened. Yeah. So five
Yeah.
years, I get my whole PPF money. I
Yeah.
know, like, and it's not going to be too much hard on my parents. Like, when I want
Mm,
to come, you see the whole, there is a budget, right? So, of course, we take it. Like, a part of it I took from the family, but I did not took so much that will be like a blow to the family. Like I
right.
was enough able to do it on my own, and it's just the confidence. So, and I think the COVID happening and me spending like 24/7 in the family was the final like nail on the coffin. 14 hours you are working and then you're just about to go to sleep. I mean, I think the whole Indian companies or IT company took this home office as like I don't know, it I think it became worse, right? They took advantage
Mm,
of home office like anything, like the companies especially.
mm,
Uh, then you see your parents every now and then, and they see on the this person is getting married, that person is getting married. What are you doing at home? I mean, of course, I never got that much pressure from my family, but you see the societal pressure because I was living in a society back in India, and it was getting too much. So maybe I
how
don't.
young were you? 26, 7?
26, 27,
Okay.
yeah. So I think it was right now I'm 31 and it was back in 2020. So I'm very bad
Yeah.
in maths.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, eventually, but yeah, that was also one factor that I wanted to somehow walk out of that, all
Mm.
that thing I wanted to. And I think that seed that was there in my head since 2013 to go abroad or like to explore my life in a different way. So I think that was the time. I mean, I was just waiting for the right time, and I just realized that COVID was the right time. I mean, everybody's making different changes in their lives, and if I really need to make a change, I need to make it now. I mean, if I have to take the leap of faith, I have to do it now. And so, yeah, I just like put everything together. I discussed this with my parents, and I think at first the initial plan was to come here to study for 2 years, and then I
Mm.
go back, and then I join some Indian company. But,
Okay.
it never
Yeah.
happens that way.
Let's. Yeah, that doesn't happen. But let's see. Let's see. So you did the GRE again. Did you do it again? Do you have to do it again
No, no,
from
no.
freshman
This
or
time I
just this
just
time?
had to, because I was coming to Germany,
Yeah.
I didn't have to do anything. So there was like the college I was applying for, there was like an internal exam, which was like nothing. And I had to give a English test, which was
Yeah.
called IELTS. But because for the
IELTS.
job,
Yeah.
IELTS, yeah. So I was C1 anyway. So
Yeah.
that was it. But then eventually, when I moved here in the college, there was like a scholarship exam. It's called the post enrollment scholarship. So
Okay.
I did that exam, and then I got like quite on a big amount of my student fee reduced because I scored good marks
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
also see like your previous experience and everything. So, yeah.
So Pushali, you had so did you have to pay a student fee because I thought German education was free.
Yeah, there is something. So I did not get into a public university, right?
Okay, so only in public university it is free.
Yes, in private universities also, but also another thing which I realized, which I learned later. So even in
Yeah.
public universities, if
Yeah.
you are doing a management courses, I mean, if you're doing technical courses or physics, chemistry, or something related to mechanics, they are pretty free. Like you just have to give the basic student fee or like the basic semester
Yeah.
fee.
Okay.
But if you're doing a management course, there is a fee. Doesn't matter if you do it from public and or private. I mean, of course, private one was a bit more, but
Mm.
I think it's in public if you're doing a management like MBA or something related to international relations, you do pay a fee.
Okay, okay. So now, just for the audience here who probably are looking at maybe doing your path, where you're looking at management in Germany, what would roughly be a good amount for them to keep aside or save and plan so that they can make this transition comfortably?
Okay. So there are like two factors here. If they want to do the transition as a student or like as
Let's say
a
they're working for a bit and they've got certain savings, and they have the choice where they can work more and save up to make the transition
okay.
and do their masters. Like, yeah, let's say that way.
So if you are, I mean, in Germany, if you're moving to Germany as a student, you always have to save around 10,000 euros as a block account because as a student, you have to save that up.
Right.
That's like a government thing. Like you
Okay.
have to give it to the government, and then because the government thinks that in case you don't get a job, that money is not going anywhere. They give you every month like 1,000
Mm,
euro each month for the next I don't know 12 months to give you money to sustain from there. And if you get a student job in the meantime, you save the money, right?
okay. Okay.
So that's as a student. But as a working professional, if you shift here,
Mm,
I think you still need to have like a good savings of around 10K, like 10,000 euros to
mm,
15,000 euro because you can like if you get a job already and then switch, that's really good. I mean, but
mm.
then that's different. Let's not talk about
Yeah.
that's really rare. But
Yeah.
if you come here on a job seeker visa, like
Mm,
I think they give you depending on how much you earn or how much you have a savings. I think from 6 months to 1 year, something
okay.
like that. They give you a
Okay.
visa where you come here to look for a job. So you have a very good experience. You have a
Mm,
background, and the government gives you 1 year to look for a job and
mm,
start here with like and also like this I think it's better if you find a blue card salary job that because
yeah.
then it's more good. So this one when you get the time to find a job, and it's very difficult to find a job If you're lucky, you find in 1 month, but sometimes even I have seen really good people struggle to find job like in 3 months, 6 months. So
Yeah.
that period can sometimes be a bit depressing and demotivating. So
Mm,
do you need to have enough money to sustain yourself for for at least 1 year?
mm,
And if necessary, what I recommend everybody, if you don't speak German or don't know German, this is
learn
the
it.
time when I would say you spend a lot of money. I don't care how much you need to spend, but learn the language because it's
Mm,
super important. I made a big mistake because I thought that there's going to be time, let me finish my course and then
yeah.
I will learn it later in the stage. It never happens. You never get the time. So when you have a free time, that window, and you don't have to think of 20 other things, you're just looking for jobs, apply for jobs, but take a
Yeah.
daily course, like a intensive course, learn the language because it's important in ways that you don't even know, but it is important, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how easy it is, or how hard it is to learn Deutsch for you? What was your experience doing this?
It is difficult. I mean, it's a difficult language, German, isn't it? And you have also learned a bit, so you know, right?
Mine was only to order my coffee.
Ich brauche einen Tassen Kaffee.
Mine was way simpler than that. Ein Brezel. That's all. I
Okay,
was.
ein Wetzel, bitte.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
At least you know what I'm doing, but like not the real German way. But so it's a very complicated language. I mean, but I think even if you take classes, I took classes until B1, no, until A2. Then I took an exam. I think I am B1 there. But I think unless you really practice this language on a daily level, if you unless
Yeah.
you speak to people, I think
Yeah.
you will never learn this language. So
Mm,
when I was student, I was working at a restaurant for as a student job, and I think that's when I was interacting a lot with people. So even though I was not behind in it, but I could speak really fluent and fast and had the confidence. Let's say
mm,
I just managed. But then eventually, I didn't have to interact so much in German. But now I think I am not so confident in speaking it anymore.
mm.
Like I do speak when I really need to, but then I don't have the words in my head, let's say. The vocabulary is really not the way I expect it to be. So it's just about practice. Listen, but I can watch a movie in German and understand everything.
Uh,
So it's just how you have to like train your brain with the vocabularies, with the words that you need to use on a daily level.
mm,
And even if you're making mistakes, just speak it. I mean,
mm.
which I really don't do. I mean, I should do more often that I do speak it, but then I have people around me. I think in Berlin is not the right city, I would say, because it's super multiculti and there is people from all across the globe.
Yeah.
Everybody speaks English, but if you go
Yeah.
to other cities, especially Munich or some tier two cities like Düsseldorf or Stuttgart,
Mm,
there is only I think 5% of people speaking English, so
okay.
you really need to learn German.
Right, right. Very interesting. And I think it also definitely helps you integrate with the society a little bit more. And
Yes,
I think that
definitely.
always has its perks. I feel like getting to know locals, thinking like them, trying to understand them has its perks.
I can share a very interesting story. So I think back in the college, I
Yeah.
was dating a German guy. Okay, like for a couple
Oh,
of weeks or a couple of months,
wait.
but
Does your mom and dad know
no,
this?
no, no. It was couple of no. We are not sending this video to them. Okay, for a couple of months. So yeah, and then I think one time he just wrote me like a big message like we don't think
Mm,
we are gonna and Germans are very particular about putting everything on step by step. I'm like
mm,
we don't think we work out together, so we should be not seeing each other again.
mm,
I'm like, okay, but why? I mean, this is weird. He's like, yeah, because first of all you come to a new country, but I don't see the urge of you to learn the language. And
mm,
that was like his main point. Like I asked him what are the reasons. I mean, he gave a couple of other reasons, which one
mm.
of which was okay, fine, I understand. It was my mistake. But then the biggest like, you don't want to learn the language. I'm like, listen, I did not come here to just learn the language. I have other things to do in my life. And it's like one of the
Yeah,
many balls I'm juggling, and learning the language right now is not my priority. See, this is your problem.
yeah,
Okay, like you live in Germany, so you should speak and learn German.
All
and
right.
that should be a priority. No, bro,
Yeah.
I put so many things at stake and then I came here. So that's not my priority. So you understand these kind of things do come across German people. It's not that they don't speak English, but if they
They
see
do.
you are trying to at least integrate and try to speak to them in German, I think
Mm,
at least it just makes them feel a little better. And they will
yeah.
eventually switch back to English with you, or maybe they will appreciate you speaking the broken German and continue in German with you. But I
Yeah.
think they really love to see people trying to integrate in their culture. And starting a good start point is, I think, to learn the language and then, of course, appreciate their tasteless food. Maybe that's what makes them happy.
Wow. 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 Wait. Bratwurst and stuff are not that tasteless. What else is tasteless according to you?
Asparagus this season is like they
Yeah.
they just put Hollandish sauce, some salt, some pepper, and they
Yeah.
call it like this dish of the season, man. Like, no,
Right.
it's nothing.
Okay. Okay. But I think what they do really well is potatoes. They know how to do their potatoes well, especially barbecue.
What is there to make in a potato? Come on.
The right temperatures.
Exactly, right temperatures. You go to their kitchen, they don't have spices, but they have all the materials to measure the temperature, to see the. I saw a egg cooker, they have something to boil egg in a cooker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know the eye
Yeah.
cocker, right?
I was thinking of buying it, by the way.
Okay, I don't know you.
Yeah, only because I didn't want to put a timer on the phone.
I mean, I just know, like for me, I know it's like gonna be 11 minutes or whatever in a
Yeah,
very medium heat. So I do my dishes in the meantime, and by the
yeah,
time the egg is ready. So I just know I don't put the time. I mean, for me, I mean, it's like,
yeah.
what's gonna go wrong? It's gonna get hard. That's it. I'm gonna eat it anyway.
I want to know and understand more. So I think the focus of Out of Office show has also been a lot on the mindset, and we delved a little bit into that when you were talking about how you heard your inner voice that this was the time I needed to get out of India and I needed to go and do something different in Germany, and you took that leap. What gave you this confidence? Because it's not easy for a single child girl in India to, yeah, not just speak her mind. Okay, I can say Bengalis are a lot more advanced that way. They can speak their mind. Everybody speaks their mind all the time. Sometimes even when you don't want them to. But went in your head? Like, where did all of this come from? Where you decided that, okay, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to do this for myself and do what you did.
Okay, so first of all, it's very like important to mention here that I never planned on coming to Germany and staying like here and do a job here. It was never my plan in the first place.
I was just
So the
starting.
plan at the beginning it was not. I mean, everything came step by step. So the
Right.
first step of the plan was like I had worked 6 years in a company, like in an IT company, and I have worked in a couple of German like projects, like as a contingent worker for Bayer, for Sanofi, for Amgen. And
Yeah.
I really wanted to see the work culture, and somehow my company back then was not sending me on site because I really wanted to work from here. I mean, that was my very basic goal, just
Yeah.
I work here, I come here as a contingent worker, I see the lifestyle here, and then I go back
Right.
like go back to my normal life. So at least I will have some experience, some exposure. Exposure is the main thing I really wanted back then. And but somehow it did not happen. And with COVID, I saw the chances going narrow with the company I was working in. So what was the second best option? Either, like I mentioned previously, that you get a job seeker visa, risk everything and come here. But it was
Yeah.
too much of a risk involved, right? What
Yeah.
if I don't
Yeah.
get? And after COVID, with the inflation, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a job or not.
Mm,
Especially, I was not even so good at speaking German, and I already read everywhere in Reddit and stuff that you really need to speak the language well to
mm,
start something, especially in management or analytics or anything. The best way I thought was like, okay, let's go there with a course, at least with studies. I mean, I wanted to also continue my higher studies because
mm,
MBA was something I really wanted to do.
mm,
And I think after graduations, I immediately got into the job. So I never got a chance to think also to do higher studies or leave it because I got so much involved and I got the taste of freedom so early that I didn't even want to study. It's like, okay, I have a
mm,
job. It
mm,
even like made me overconfident in certain scenarios, I would say. I wasn't balanced. I was like reckless. I'm like, I have the
mm,
money. I can do whatever. I'm on the top of the world. And I think that was where I missed the chance of doing a higher study in masters and I continued with the job. But then
mm.
eventually I got a bit calm. Like I grew old,
Mm,
I got like senses into myself, and okay, whatever it is, I should do the masters. And you never
mm,
know, when I come back, I have a master's degree. Maybe I can get a better job and better salary. That was my
yeah,
first idea.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I didn't want to do it from India because everything in India has politics in it, which even education has it in it. I mean, whatever you look at it, and it has to be somebody has to approve it from the government, from the. So I never wanted to, let's say, do it from India. So I wanted somewhere abroad, and I think Germany was my best chance because, like I
mm,
told you, when I was in 10th standard, I anyway wanted to come to Germany.
yeah.
And another very stupid motivation was, did you watch Money Heist? And there was this
Yeah.
character called Berlin.
Oh my
He
God,
was
we
my
are
favorite
watching it
character.
even now.
What?
We're watching this even now, and yeah, I know Berlin.
Yeah, so that reckless character, the character of Berlin, let's say.
Yeah,
I think somebody told me like the
and the
city.
love for finest things in life.
Exactly. Somebody told me I really resonate with the character Berlin. I don't know if you feel the same, but somebody back in India told me like I am like the character Berlin, and this character Berlin is like the city Berlin. So I'm like, okay, so I am Berlin. So, I wanted to explore that out. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very stupid way, but
No, I think it's actually, so going back to the spiritual topic. Let me just
yeah.
connect this because it's beautiful what you
Okay.
just said.
Okay, this now I want to understand this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in your thought, you created a persona that you were attracted to, right? A version of Berlin. It had a little bit in you, but it was not
Mm.
fully that version of Berlin, right? At that point in time. And this is what we do. This is what we do as human beings every day. And it's so subtle, but every day when you think about future, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about that version of you that lives in that future, which is a little bit here today, but
Mm.
it's not like fully there yet.
Yeah. So this is maybe I manifested it. I don't know, but I was curious. Like somebody will come and tell you beautiful, pretty, but you will never listen somebody compare you with a city. So I
Mm.
know I had a friend who was in Berlin for quite some time, and he when we were talking and about this character Berlin, he's like, you like I said, you are like this reckless character Berlin, who's again like the city, and somehow you are like the city Berlin, and that
Mm.
never happened to me. I'm like, okay, then I want to be like explore the city and find out what's happening, right?
Yeah.
I took it up. And then 2 years of job, and then I thought like 2 years of studies, and then I thought, okay, I'll do another 2 years of job, and then I'll go back. Like I just will have the taste of what I want.
Yeah.
But these 2 years of job where I could balance my 9 to 5, like my whole day, what I learned is like we are getting 24 hours in a day for a reason. Like 8 hours to sleep well, 8 hours for self care, like whatever I'm earning, I'm spending, like be it going to yoga, be it cooking, be it eating, and another 8 hours for work. That's it. That's how your 8 hours should be divided. And this is what I
So,
learned here. So,
wow. Wow.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you.
yeah.
Yeah, continue. I'll tell you in a bit.
Okay. So that's these 8 hours balance, like 8 by 3 balance. Discovered it coming after coming here. Like these 8 hours, which was my personal 8 hours, not the sleeping, not the work. I could be anything I want to be, right?
Yeah.
I did some modeling in that 8 hours. I learned some
Wow.
new skill. I mean, of course, I'm short in height, so it was like print modeling on a magazine, not like walking the ramp. But I learned like cooking. I mean, I learned cooking after moving to Germany, right? I never even knew how to like boil a water before coming here. But then there are certain
Yeah.
things. I also took up like kayaking, let's say. I learned kayaking
Wow.
after moving here. So back in India, like I never had that 8 hours to myself. And I realized I had so much time.
Yeah.
Like I started learning German. I started like my own way. So this eight
Yeah.
hours is so important that is given to
So
you.
important.
Yeah. And I think I was missing out on that when I was in India. And when I discovered that 8 hours, that 8 hours where I can be anything I want to be, which I never had before, I felt like a little child again. And this is true, trust me. I am like, I want to do this, I want to do that. I started like buying things I never thought I could buy like ever in my life. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. So that was that 8 hours that I got, and I think I'm grateful for this thing, and that's why I don't really think. I mean, this is exactly what is now in my, like, why I moved here, and then it was slowly unfolding like one after the other. It was never in the plan, but then now that I have everything, like, enough time to plan the rest of my life, then I
Hmm.
started planning the rest. You were
Yeah.
saying something.
Yeah, no, it's very beautiful how you talk about this 888. I'll tell you how I got introduced to this. Not how, when. I got introduced to this 888 2 days back. And it's funny that you mention it here right now.
Really? Okay.
You know how manifestation now works? It
Okay.
was in my
We
head.
like somehow telepathy.
Yeah. So this is the beauty part because I had so many things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do the out of office show. I wanted to work. I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to do so many things, right? And I was just like, how do I do all of this better? How can I live better? How can I be more productive? And then out of nowhere, I think I saw a reel that somebody was talking about this 888, and it was 1 second reel. It's like 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work, and then the remaining 8 hours is for yourself. And I'm like, where is my remaining 8 hours?
Yes, yeah, unless and do you know how I got introduced to this? I was so I. This is a very interesting thing. I think this. Yeah, sorry, I didn't share it earlier. So
Yeah.
back in India, I have a mindset of working. Right, I
Yeah.
am made to work, and like my
Yes.
bosses will come and tell me. So we have this. We somehow think ourselves as a slave, and it's
Mm.
this attitude of work is there in your
Yeah.
in your, I don't know, instinct. And when I came here, it was a complete different work culture, but my way
Mm.
or pattern of work was similar. Like, yes sir, it's done. I mean, of course I don't call them sir here, we call them by names, but you see,
Yeah.
yeah, it's done sir, yeah, it's this, it's that. And if something was not fixing, I'm like, if something was broken, I'm like, okay, I'm fixing it, and I was staying in office until 8 to fix it.
Yeah.
And then it
Why?
was not what.
I mean, yeah, why? Why should one do that?
Yeah, but that's the mindset back I got in India, right?
Right.
Because I will tell you another story about it. But any which way, so it's like in India, you don't get appraisal for working 9 to 5. If you show some extra, if you do something more, maybe then. But that is a very
That's a
wrong way
consideration.
we were brought up, right? For 6 years, and it's very difficult to like take that out of you in just 1 year. And I was always thinking that I need money, I need appraisal, I need raise. So maybe if I do all these things like I used to do back in India, things will get better. And then
Yeah.
one day, my manager, he is like, "Hey, can we have a chat? We want to talk." I'm like, "Yeah,
And
sure."
is the manager in India?
No,
No.
no, here, it's in Germany. Manager in India, even they were. I mean, I'm not gonna say I
They're
had bad
pros
managers.
and
I really
cons,
had
right?
good,
Yeah.
but that's how it's happened. Like, to their managers were also putting the same pressure on them.
Correct.
So my manager here, he takes me out, like, not takes me out, like he takes me to like a one-on-one session, and he's like, "Pushali, why are you doing this to yourself? I'm not going to give you for any raise or anything for working hard. You are a good person. I mean, you are a good employee. You are a talented one. That's it. But you don't have to stay here for until 9 or until 8 to show that you're good. We already see that." And it was very, and I'm like, and it's like taken in a negative way because I realized that people actually complained about me. That yeah, that I am trying. So see, now you see this. This is completely different for me, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I did not mean to sabotage somebody here because they think you. Now you see the mindset and how
Yeah, you're
culture
pointing
shock,
at
you can say.
culture.
Yeah, it's
Don't
like
do
a
this.
culture shock,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, it's not. So it was basically like a complaint against me, and he wanted to talk to me about it.
Hmm.
So, and imagine, and I, at first, it was very difficult for me to explain him the point, what I was trying, because he never worked in an Indian environment, right? So he did not get it. So it took us like 2 hours, like at least 1 hour for me to explain him, like, hey, this not that I'm doing it on purpose. This is how I have been raised, like in the work environment for
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but you are not in India anymore. You are in
Yeah.
Europe. I'm like, but that 6 years of habit, it needs time to get out of my system. It cannot just. And then he introduced me, okay, Pishali, first things first, you start to divide your day in 888. Doesn't matter if I ask you to stay up, if I ask you to stay after 6, if the CEO, the general manager comes and asks you to stay after 6, you can always tell them in their face that no, this is beyond my work hours. If you are paying me more, or if you are like, if you're compensating this overstay, I'm happy to discuss this further.
Mm.
I'm like, no, I cannot do that. I mean, I'm gonna get fired. He's like, no, this is your right. So I think here I learned what is a right for me as a human being or as an employee. In India, you never have the sense of the right. Like, what's
Mm.
your right? I mean, these 8 hours were my right. That's where he introduced me that these 8 hours are your right. It's like whatever money you're earning, it's gonna stay in the bank and die, right?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna die someday. It's gonna just stay in the bank.
Yeah.
So you live for yourself, and that's the 8 hours you're given for. And I'm like, okay, interesting. And
Yeah.
yes, since then I really started to plan my days, my everything in a way that 888 should fit all everything.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think this is beautiful. I think I come from that culture where, as a founder, most of Singaporean founders are modeled against Silicon Valley founders. Vast
Yeah.
differences, but again, US culture is also that way, except nobody forces you. You are expected to do it in the sense like this is your company. You have to be crazy working 24 hours. You don't have weekends. You don't have family life. That is when, after doing all of this, you have earned the right to raise that money or raise or sell that company for so and so $1 billion, right? So that's the narrative. And for the last, I think, 5, 6 years, it's been my narrative as well.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I want to do so many things, right? And especially fitness needs to be an important part because coming early this year, I just realized I'm getting random aches in my body and I don't know why they are coming from. All I'm doing is sitting and sleeping. And that's exactly why it was coming from.
That,
All
yeah,
I'm doing is
exactly.
these two
I was
things.
gonna come to that because most 8 hours of our job is sitting, right? We don't
Yeah.
really walk or and like walk on the shop floor, or we don't do anything. So it's just sitting and in that particular position. So
Yeah.
it's very, and after I think 30, it's very, because these BMI etc. they don't work as well as it was working previously in your 20s. So you start accumulating more fat, and then even if you eat like 2 spoons of something fatty, I think you start gaining. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, at the beginning of this year, I also started to focus.
But I'm so happy that you brought this 888 to the world again right now through this conversation. And you're putting it in practice, which is very fantastic. So give me, and this is probably going to be, I'm going to ask you last two questions, right? One is this. Uh, so just tell me how you break your day out today, because you're practicing this 888. So how do you
Okay.
break out your day and how do you utilize your own 8 hours better? Yeah.
Okay, so I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, 6 to 6, like not Saturday and Sunday, but let's talk about just weekdays. So 6 to 6:30 is when I wake up, and the first thing is get a coffee, get ready for work, and I think
Yeah.
by 7:30 I'm ready. I
Yeah.
do a quick call to my family at
Mm.
around like for half an hour. I do it every day because I
Okay.
want to stay connected to my parents and I want them to know every small thing that's happening, because when you are so far away from them, I think this is very important that you always
Yeah.
stay, keep them updated about what's happening so they don't have the fear of missing out on
Mm.
your growth. And then exactly by 8, I think I'm done with the call. Some days I make some quick breakfast, but most of the days I don't eat breakfast. I directly go to office. So by 9, like my 9 to 5 starts. At work, I think it's not that I work all 8 hours, always
Mm.
sitting, but I don't. I take a quick lunch, like half an hour, and generally we get to work like for lunch 1 hour. I do for half an hour, and the another half an hour I go for a walk. My office is really by the river, so it's nice walking around
Wow. Okay.
sometimes. So, you're not just sitting all the, so it was like a break. And then I wrap everything up by 5, I think 6, let's say 6, not 5:30. Doesn't happen every day by 5, but it's by 6. I already have my bag for gym prepared. So as soon as I'm home, I leave. So some, like, there are 4 days a week I work out. So one day I go to the gym for
Mm.
some weight training.
Mm.
Another day I go for bicycle classes. Then there's
Mm.
one day I go for sauna, and then there's another day I go for yoga or some stretching, or that's how I do it. It's not that the same thing I do. And then I think I'm
Mm.
back home by 7:30 or 8. I prepare dinner. I am done by 9. I watch something on TV. Sometimes I read something, and by 10 I'm in bed.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Love it. Yeah, love it.
In some days when I'm not doing gym every day, so in those days I study something, I do something else.
Mm,
I was thinking to learn or start learning calisthenics. So oh yeah, I
mm.
was take doing
Oh,
it on now. Let's see.
yeah, I love it. Okay, love the answer. And for those out there who are watching this, if you want to figure out how to break your 888, this is your template. Last question, just give me a sense of salary structures in Germany. How much, different stages of a career. You can just give me a sense of that.
Okay, so if you are in IT, like Germany really is looking for IT, like people in IT. So you can be as lucky as to start from 70 to 80K a year. I
Okay.
mean, but you have to be really
Euros.
good, like what you're doing, like 70K to 80K euros, yeah, a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm talking only in euros because it's difficult for me to now convert back to INR or Singapore dollars. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's fine.
But that can be a starting range for
Mm,
like somebody who's really good at coding and have that good work experience back in India. When we talk about management, like my kind of project management or this level of jobs, they really need a good German level, I would say, because although the offices and work environment are English, but then you have to have like there will be clients, oh, sorry, who would like or prefer you to speak in German. In
mm,
these levels, where I am also struggling a bit, let's say, although the starting salary range is 56 to 60, but with German it can spike up really high because then, but without German I think it's gonna
mm,
difficult, like for me
mm,
right now it's a bit less than 70, but
mm.
I think with German I think it could have been more, and
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Okay.
And the starting salary, like when you come here and you don't know but you want to start, I think that's also good. It starts from 36K a year, but yeah, you lose a lot of money in taxes, so be aware of
How much is
that.
the taxes? How much is the tax percent?
I think there are tax slabs, so mine is around the 43%
Okay.
taxes, but then
Oh,
yes, and then there is another slab for 37, I think, but
yeah.
the taxes in
Okay.
Germany is super high.
Okay. So then, how roughly how much does it take to have a comfortable life on monthly basis, including like a house rental that you want to give for?
It's of course a bit higher in Berlin because rental prices in Berlin is like skyrocketing.
Okay.
But still, let's say I also send a bit of money back in India sometimes from time to time. So considering everything, like some people do have to take care of their family. Let's say it's savings, I think
Yeah.
2,500 to 3,000 euro in hand a month is
Yeah.
like the best. You can
All
have
right.
a comfortable life. You
Yeah.
can make also part of the salary for savings. Like it's
Yeah.
not that you are expending, you're spending the whole thing out. So
Hmm.
with like 2,500 3,000, you can save up for your travel. Like what I do, like I always, the first thing is I take out some money, I put it for my travel.
Nice.
And
Nice.
then, of course, I send from time to time too. I'm not sending it every month, but like, every 2 months or every 3 months, I'm sending back some money in India. I don't know if
Mm.
my parents need them or not, but it's good to always have them handy, right? You
Yeah.
never know when money is the most important thing, health and money. I keep telling them that, see, this is something you should always take care of, money and health.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And the rest, I think the rent is where I live right now. It's in the middle, like it's like really centered. It's within a zone. So it's, I would say 1,100, including electricity and everything. And for food and groceries, it's going to be another 400 to 500 a month. I
Okay.
mean, that also if you start like eat like me, like I really eat like eggs and milk and every day. And then there are people who are always eating outside there. It's going to be way
Yeah.
more, a
Yeah.
lot more for them. But I
Yeah.
try to eat a lot at home as much as possible. Although I work in a delivery company, I don't order so
Do you
much.
get perks?
A lot, a lot.
So you
I
get like
mean,
free deliveries and stuff, or I don't know.
not free, but
Free?
everything I order or I would be ordering, I'm gonna get around 20% off on it.
Oh, okay.
So even if I order something, so when I have friends at home, I'm gonna order for like 50,
Yeah.
150 euro or something. So I get the benefit. So here in Germany, you can always ask like get rent, like Dutch it, right? And so it's good for me. So when the bill shows that it's around 150, five of my friends pay me 150 together, and then I get some 20 euros back. So I make. And groceries, of course, I don't always have the time to go out and buy them, right?
Right.
and I can always order them. They come at home, they drop it, and I get some urban sports thing. Like it's normally it's 70 euros a month, but I get it for 10 euros. I get subsidized public transport ticket, so it's 49 euros Germany, but I get it for 40 euros. So these are small perks. I think most
Right.
company has it like here and there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Well, so many things that I've learned today about Germany, India, and your transition and mindset. It's been fantastic. Do you have any last advice or tips to give to anybody out there who is inspired?
The only thing that I follow is like always believe in yourself and your skills, or your potential. Never underestimate yourself. I mean, I've had that phase where I like, oh, can I do it, can I not? No, have that confidence. Again, you have to find the right balance between overconfidence and confidence and underestimation.
Yeah.
But I think one can start the journey by just having that faith in yourself. Like, yes, I
Yeah.
can do it and I will be able to do it. And I think just that, have that, and I think it will get you going. And yeah, be honest, like, don't like try to take the shortcut. I mean, that's what I learned from my father. And I'm going to tell everybody who's watching it right now, don't try to take the shortcut. I know it's going to be easy. I mean, you can be lucky. You cannot be, you have a lot of risk involved
Yeah.
and a lot at stake there. So
Yeah.
try to do it the right way and the clean way. That's it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Poshali, for coming to the Out of Office show and sharing what you've learned in your journey so generously with us. And for those who are watching, keep watching the Out of Office show.
Thank you,
See you
Priya. And
soon.
yes, watch this out of office show, guys, because this is super interesting. And I am glad that Priya is doing something so out of the box. And trust me, I do listen to your podcast sometimes when I'm working and I just put it on and I'm just listening. And although I mean I'm not really focusing on everything, but eventually I get a sense of like so many different people and how they're putting together their lives, and it
Yeah.
somehow builds you different. Let's say, I mean, maybe it's not going to actively make some changes in you, but it's going to change in your thought process or the way you think. So guys, do listen to her podcast. They're very interesting. Some super interesting people have been there on the show. So I think it's something you really want to like. And if you want to bring a change in your life, work life balance, everything, I think the show has it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.